Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We're joined by Kay Larson-Hayes from Page Up, and she'll be walking us through the new performance management training system today. As a reminder, please make sure you're muted. We'll be recording today's session. And if you have questions throughout the training, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll make sure they're either answered in the chat or asked and answered for the group. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Kay and she'll get us started.
Thank you very much, Natalie, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to learn all about your new performance management system. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for our agenda today, we're actually going to kind of go like high-level process overview. We're going to talk about how you're actually going to log into the performance management system, some of the navigation tools that you will have to be able to get through your performance evaluation process, and then last but not least, completing your actions. So how do we log in? So the team has actually, the HR team there at GVSU has given you a couple of options. So first, from an administrative period, you will have access to this deck after the training, and you will also have access to this recording after the training if you so need to. So this information will be available to you. So with that, you will have a direct link that you can put in your browser, save and bookmark if you want to do that. They have been kind enough to set up a place on their HR website, which is right circled here, called a performance evaluation plan, where all employees and supervisors can go to actually have access to the system as well. And the last way that you will actually be able to get access is when HR launches the reviews, which are currently now scheduled for the week of July 12th, you will get an email. So as an employee, you are the first step in the process. So you will definitely get an email that lets you know that, it's now time for you to go in and take action. Within that email, you will see that there is a performance link as well. It basically drives to this, and then you can log in. You will be able to log in with your current single sign-on, so you will not have to have a new username or password. So with that, you have 3 ways to be able to access the site. Once you do access the site, this is what it's going to look like for you. This is an abbreviated picture of the home page or the screen for the performance portal. And again, you will see about me and my team. Employees will use the My Performance Review, which is right here. My Performance Review. This is where you will find your annual evaluation. Supervisors will, if they're both an employee that's going to be rated under the review, will use that as well as team. So we talked about with them that in the last session. So you will simply be able to click on My Performance Review. In today's session, we are going to focus on these 8 steps. These are the 8 steps for the professional support staff evaluation. So actually there are only 7, but the evaluation complete state is basically a state required by our system, but it's also a state where you will have the ability to go in and view your completed reviews. The system will maintain all your reviews from this point going forward. There are no previous reviews in the system, so that is important to point out that we did not pull in any previous reviews. But from this point going forward, as long as GVSU remains a Page Up customer, then you will always have access to your evaluations. During our session today, we really do want to focus on the steps that you as an employee will need to take during the process. Some of these are yours, some of these are shared tasks. I will need to jump back and forth as the supervisor, so you will see from their side as well, but real briefly. But we will talk about you identifying your goals and job and responsibilities, completing your self-assessment. The employee supervisor review discussion is nothing new. You probably have one of those every year with your manager. So that is what that step is. Finally, your last step in the process will be for you to acknowledge your evaluation. Then at the evaluation complete state, you'll be able to go in and view your completed review and print it if you needed to. But as I said, the review will stay in the system. You'll have access to it 24/7, 365 if you need to. All right, so as I previously stated, the first step in the process is for you as the employee to go in and identify your goals and job responsibilities. So you will receive an email notification. Within that email, there will be the performance link that you will be able to log into the site with. And then once you log in, you will see My Performance Review. You will see the item that is specific for you, as it will say New beside it. Okay. You will simply click on this green title and it will take you to the review. This is your new evaluation form and the various sections. So you will have a start page and then basically the 4 or 5 sections, as well as a next steps tab. The HR team has done a great job of putting together some basic instructions on every single tab for you. So this is sort of like the, hey, welcome to the performance management system. Here's your supervisor. Here's when this task is due to be complete. And then basically click the next button to move forward. And you will be able to see all of the various items that you'll need to do. Section 1 is goals and projects. So on that particular tab, there will be instructions for the employee as well. And you will have at the bottom an Add Goals and Projects button. You will click on that to be able to add any of your goals or projects. The second section is job responsibilities, job knowledge and responsibilities. So here, again, nice set of instructions with regards to how to do that. This is recommended that you add no more than 4, but in some cases, depending on the complexity of your job, you may need to add more. And it says key job knowledge and responsibilities. So you can click this button. Once you click this button, then basically you will be presented with enter the title of that item. You will also be able to upload a document if need be. The third section, is university competencies. These have all been preloaded. So everyone who is going to receive an annual evaluation this year at GVSU will in fact all be rated against their university competencies. So this item is there basically for informational purposes, for you to be able to review the item so that you know what criteria you are going to be evaluated on during that process, and what criteria you'll evaluate yourself on. The last section that you'll actually have to take any action on would be professional development. We highly encourage employees to add at least 1 professional development item. It is not a required item. But please note that if you don't add any professional development item, when it does come time to rate your evaluation, you will not be able to add it. And that page will basically be blank other than just some instructions. I will note that anytime you're in the system, so this is what it's going to look like potentially next year when you come in, or you'll see that today when I'm doing it, because I've done other evaluations using the same employee, but you will basically just be adding a new professional development because there will not be any previous items listed in the system for you. Next year, when you come to do your review, you will be able to see previous development items. You will be able to click on that button and go, hey, you know what? I had this training and didn't get all the way through it, so let me continue to add it as a professional development item for this year. That's also the same. That will come in real handy when you do your job knowledge and responsibilities as well, because you may want to refer back to the key items that you added the previous year. So just so you know that that will be a possibility next year. When you click that add button and add new, you will be able to add the title and a brief description of the item that you want to achieve. Clicking next will move you all the way through the system every time. So it'll move you to the next section, the next section, the next section. The last section is overall rating. No action is required at this time from you. This will only be available to you when you actually hit the overall rating. And that would be during the rating stage. We did want to point out that you will see a feature within the system. It is called journaling. So both supervisors and employees can log in at any time and add journal entries. So as soon as the system is kicked off on July 12th, you'll have the ability to go in and add journal entries. May or may not use this feature, but we wanted to make sure that we highlighted it because we know you're going to see it when you go in. So you need to know exactly what it does. So you will see that this is what it will look like for you. So you will be able to click journal entry here. If you do that, this is what the text will look like. You'll be able to add a new item. You need to put something in the description. And then if you want to tag things like training or, processes or whatever, generally speaking, probably most people won't tag things for themselves because you probably won't have that many. Additionally, under the About Me, you will have Auto Journal where you'll be able to click on the little button here and you'll be able to add journal entries again. So you'll see me as I do that when I actually go into the system. The nice part about this is where that really comes into play is we also have an app. It's called the Everyday Performance app. It is available at the Apple Store and the Android Store for the Android users, the Play Store. So you can download this app, just put in Everyday Performance app, and you will be able to actually log any of your entries right from your phone. So if you happen to be at a training or something and you want to jot down the fact that you attended, here's the date and time, blah, 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 you can put that in your app. And that will be available to you. Again, it's open all the time. So you don't have to have a particular performance action or step that you need to complete within the system. You'll be able to come in at any point in time, either on your phone or in the system. Your phone will automatically transfer to the online system, so you won't have to worry about taking what's in your phone and moving it to the online system. So as I said, right now we're just going to talk about the steps that are important or are required for an employee. So once you've gone in and you've done your piece, then the supervisor will go in and they will do their piece, which is basically to review your goals and your job responsibilities and any of that information. They will also have the ability to add to that. So if they find a job responsibility that they find is key that you didn't, they will have the ability to add it. They'll also be able to add any additional projects or things like that, as well as they'll be able to add an additional professional development item. Generally speaking, probably most won't in all cases, but in some cases they will. So they will do that. Then your step will be for you to complete your self-evaluation. So this is generally what it will look like for you when you come in to do that. You will be asked to rate not only your job knowledge and responsibilities, but the university competencies and provide an overall rating. Those will be the three key areas. You will have the ability to add comments to every single section within the evaluation. So you will be able to add comments to your goals. You'll be able to add comments to your professional development, but you won't have to worry about rating those. This is what it's going to ultimately look like when it's a blank, is you'll see the employee performance rating and you will see the 4 stars. Once you have actually rated yourself on something, then that's what it will look like. You can click on add comment if you want to add a comment to any particular item. Maybe there was something with regards to quality of work that you really want to comment on, then you will have the ability to do that. There are a couple of other functions that you would be able to do at this point in time as well, but we'll talk about that when we get into the site. I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to talk about your new rating scale.
Thanks, Kay. So like Kay said, with the new system, we have a new rating scale that we're going to be utilizing for reviews moving forward. There are 4 categories to this rating scale. You can see they're exceeding, succeeding, developing, and needs improvement. The intention with this new rating system is to encourage honest and accurate ratings on the evaluations. And so we anticipate and would expect to see most folks falling in either the succeeding or developing categories. Succeeding is going to be somebody that's meeting the expectations of their position and fulfilling their duties consistently and not requiring, any additional feedback there. For developing, that's going to be for potentially brand new employees who have just started learning their role and the duties involved. They're gaining skill and proficiency, those types of things. It could also be for, current employees that maybe have taken on a new duty or are working on elaborating on a skill. And so it's not necessarily just for new employees. It can be used for existing employees too. And there may be reasons for that if a department's restructured or there's been retirements and some duties have shifted. Maybe somebody's taken on a new activity that wasn't part of their exact position before, and so that could potentially receive a developing rating. And then the other ends of the scale here are exceeding and needs improvement. And exceeding is going to be for those that are really demonstrating exceptional work. They're going way above and beyond the expectations of the role. And so those are going to be, somebody that's a high performer and really going above and beyond what is expected. And then needs improvement is obviously for folks that aren't quite meeting the minimum standards of the position and are requiring some additional guidance or support, resources, training, whatever that may be to improve that performance. And in past review processes, I believe the needs improvement rating provided automatic initiation of a performance improvement plan, or the PIP. That is no longer the case with this new review system and the new rating scale. While a performance improvement plan may be utilized as a tool to assist somebody in getting up to the level of performance that they should be at, it is not automatically triggered, so it's just an optional tool. And again, we're expecting and anticipating most folks would fall in succeeding or developing categories for the review process. So that covers our new rating scale, and I'll turn it back over to Kay.
Thank you very much, Natalie. So as I said, we're just kind of focusing on the items that you'll need to do. Obviously, step 4 is where your supervisor is going to go in and complete your evaluation. Step 5 will be that joint meeting that the supervisor will set up with you to discuss your review and kind of go over everything with you. Once they're done, then you as an employee will have the opportunity to acknowledge your review. So that literally is step 6 in the system, where you have that opportunity. Please note that when you do have the employee acknowledgement task to do, you will be able to review everything that has been put on your review. By all means, take your time to do that. You will not be able to change anything or add anything. So the ratings will all be locked, the comments will all be locked, and you will have the opportunity on the next step tab to actually add any final comments that you wish. So again, no place in the actual review itself until you get to the next step tab will you be able to change or add anything. And you will only be able to add a final comment at the end. So once you have completed that acknowledgement, it will go back to the supervisor for them to review all employee final comments. That was some feedback that folks in HR got from last year's and previous year reviews, is that supervisors wanted to have an opportunity to be able to view those final comments. When the review is actually in the status of evaluation complete, you as an employee will be able to see your reviews, as I said, at any point in time, all the time. So in order to do that, you're going to log into the portal, but this time you're going to come to About Me. So you won't be able to see it under My Performance widget. You will click on Performance Reviews. You will change the status because the status will come in as current and it will be blank for you. You will change it to complete and hit search. Once you do that, then one item will show up and you'll be able to view the report. We'll take a look at that in the system, but what happens is that your review, once it is in the complete state, moves away from the section type or the various tabs, and it moves into one comprehensive document so that it is very easy for you to either PDF it, to email it to yourself, print it, or just simply keep it in the system because that's where it will always remain. So, okay, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into the system so that you can actually see what that looks like in living color. So I'm going to use both my employee, who is Sally Performance, and my supervisor, who is Charlie. Now, you folks don't have to go through all of the steps that I am, but I am going to have to move in from the employee to the supervisor just so that you can see how the system works. So as an employee, when you log in, this is what you're going to see. So you'll have your name over here. Profile, basically my Sally doesn't have anything in her profile. Yours will probably have your name, your department, and your position or your title. That's generally all that's maintained within the profile. You will have a smartphone app. I will show you that. So again, this is just the app. Once you activate it, you have a barcode you can scan, and then you can log in. You want to get back, you just click on the little house. Interestingly enough, that is home, so that will bring you back to the home screen again. Here is that journal entry button. So again, you can use this at any time you want to make entries that you maybe attended training, outline what it was, because you want to get credit for performance training. And it was on 6:30, whoops, not 6:30. And you simply add the button. Click on add, and it will add things to your journal entry. Now, Sally has a lot of journal entries because she's gone through a lot of these trainings. Then you can come in. This area here, my team, is reserved for supervisors. If you are a supervisor, you will be able to see your organizational chart. If you're an employee, you won't. And then performance reviews. Under about me, that's your journal, and your performance reviews. We'll come back to this when it's time for you to look at your completed reviews. So we're going to come in here. We're going to click on your annual review. Again, here's your start page with its set of instructions. You're going to click the next box and move through. That's how easy it is to move through the whole process. You're simply clicking next. We're into our goals. So we can have new goals and projects. So you can put whatever your goals happen to be. You can upload a document simply by clicking on upload. It will take you to select file. That will drive you to your computer, and you will be able to upload any one of these types of documents if you want to. Not necessary, again, for you to do that. I'm going to add another goal here, which would be to and you can simply click on next. Next to be job responsibilities, so clearly we want to add that one. Might be that we long morning, we answer phones and schedule appointments. On another one, so it would be budget management. Just to give you an idea of whatever your job description says. So The instructions say, we recommend no more than 4 job knowledge and responsibilities. But again, as I said, you can add more than that if you wish. And you'll click on next. The next piece will bring you to the university competencies, where you'll see that these have all been preloaded for you. This is your opportunity to review them because you will in fact be rated against them. So take your time to review each one of the items. And then last but not least for you will be the ability for you to add professional development. So the system works very similar in every single part of the process. And then click next. So again, you can add as many professional development items that you feel are relevant to you. And then you will see the overall rating tab. At this point, no action is required. Click next to move to the next step. So again, a set of instructions, very easy for you. This brings you to the last page of your review. You are able to look at the summary of items that you have, and then you will simply click. The next shows you the next step is that your supervisor is going to review and approve these goals. And so we're going to click go to next step. So now it's out of your queue. You do have the ability to still see it, but there's nothing that you can do. You cannot edit it, change anything like that. So if for some reason you clicked on the button too soon, you can contact your supervisor. They can return the item to you. They can move it back one step. So I'm going to jump in real quick, kind of move through as the supervisor so we can move it to the next step for you. I apologize. Sometimes our system, I move faster than the system does. So I have to kind of refresh the site a couple of times. You will not have to worry about seeing any of these kinds of errors. Plenty of time passes from the time that one task is completed till the next time something is open. Okay. So now I'm in as the supervisor. So I'm knowing full well, just so that you know real briefly, supervisor can, 1, edit your goals. 2, they can add additional goals to it. So maybe they want to add something to this. They want to expound on it a little bit. They can do that. They can also add a new goal. They can do that through every section. So they can add, if maybe they have one of your job responsibilities that they feel is key, they can also add that as well. Generally speaking, I don't know if they will add too many. They cannot add anything to the university competencies, so that pretty much just lets them know what they will be rating you against as well. If there's a professional development item that they feel that you also should be working on, they can add that too. So you will see those. And then finally, the overall rating is closed off for them. So once they have come in and they have actually approved everything, now it's going to move to you. And so it'll move back to you as an employee to actually go out and complete your self-evaluation. So I'm going to give the system a couple of seconds to reset itself. You'll get that email. You'll be able to log back in. Oops, person. Okay. So now you're in. So this is basically, as you begin this step, please think of your overall performance for the year. And so you will have your items that you have added. You have the ability to, one, add a comment. So we'll look at that. We can add a comment. So you can save it as private, but again, when you save something as private, it's only viewable by you. So if you are trying to share it with your supervisor, you would want to click on Save and Share. If you want to make, if you accidentally clicked on Save as Private and you want to move it, you can come over here to the three buttons and you can click Publish. It will now be viewable by your supervisor. So again, you have the ability to add comments. You will not be rated on any of your goals and projects. But when it comes time for your job responsibilities, you will be rated. These are the 4 stars. They clearly outline the 4 new ratings. So you will be able to rate yourself. Again, you will be able to add comments. You will also be able to add a journal entry. So if there was a particular journal entry that you wanted to add, we won't click one for this one, but we might do one for this one. So we did have a journal entry that had to do with improving the budget process. So we want to link that. So maybe we made all of our notes in our journal entry. So that saves us from making a comment when it comes time to do our self-evaluation. Or you may want to also add a comment on top of that, and that's perfectly fine. And you also have the ability by clicking the little arrow to upload a file as well. Okay, so again, those are the various options that you have when it comes to rating. We'll move through, continue to move through the process. So you'll rate yourself, which I'm sure you're accustomed to rating yourself on your competencies. You can add comments anywhere. This one we said we were working on, so we could still kind of have a reminder. Ratings are required. And then you click next. This is your professional development. So again, you talked about leadership over there, so you may not need to talk about leadership again here, totally up to you. And you will be provided the opportunity to rate yourself and then add a comment as to supporting comments as to why you feel you are in this step. So you can unsave. Click next. We'll continue to move through the process. Now at this point in time, you can actually go back and review anything that you want to, or you can actually move it forward. Just so that you know, this little timeline up here will tell you the due dates for the various items. So self-evaluation is due, and these dates change based on the dates and times that items are launched. So, but again, that's sort of like a timeline, so you can see this is your next step. You will click on go to next step. That will then move the evaluation to your supervisor. So you're off the hook for a little while because the supervisor is going to go through and do your rating. And then the supervisor is going to be responsible for scheduling a meeting with you. So those would be the next 2 items that the supervisor will need to do. So I'll log in real quick and complete things so that we can actually move towards the end of it. Okay, so your supervisor will come in. Again, they can see your comments, just so you know, and the date and the time that you actually added it. They can add their own. They can save it. They have the ability to save as private. The supervisors as well do not have to leave individual comments, but when they reach the end of the process, they will be required to actually leave a final comment. So it is mandatory for them. So I'm going to quickly come through, rate all of these things. And they clearly may disagree, and that's fine from an employee perspective. That's why you have a discussion. Same thing on leadership training, they can just leave a comment. When they get to the end, their overall rating, when they get to the end, they will be required to leave a comment. So the next step for them also is, so they'll involve you in this next step, which is the employee manager discussion. So they'll log back into the system once they've scheduled that appointment with you. They have a couple of ways that they can share that information with you. So they can share their computer screen and basically go over each one of the items, or they can actually pull up a report. They can print that report, they can PDF it, depending upon how your supervisor approaches the review process and this discussion. So you will see that, as I said, the tabs information disappears. Final comments will appear at the top, and then any other additional comments on a per item basis, and then you'll be able to see the ratings. So some people have different ways that they like to present this. Some people want to print it out and hand it to you when you walk in the door. Other people want to send it to you ahead of time, and other people don't, and they'll just want to share their computer screen with you and go over each one of the items. So that's what they will do. And basically this is what it will look like. Everything is, again, all locked in, so nothing can be changed at this point in time. Your overall rating will appear. And again, that is already locked and loaded, so it cannot change. And then finally, they will go to that same next step as you. You will be able to see their final comments while you're meeting with them, and then they will push it to you for you to acknowledge their evaluation. So we are almost finished the process. I'd say 3 times is my charm. So let's see if I'm right. So from your perspective, again, you're going to come in. This is a full review. You can move through the review. You can see everything. This is your time to kind of just take a moment, review everything over, move through all of the tabs. You cannot change anything here. So again, you just kind of, in your own time, reviewing what your manager has given you. Cannot add any additional comments. If there aren't any comments, that's fine. You can move to the overall by clicking on the overall. You can see your overall rating. You can see any of your comments. And then at the very end of the review, it is not required for employees, but you also have the ability to make a final comment. And we know many employees do like to make final comments, so you can do that, and then you will move it into their final step for them. And then just so that we won't come back to this, but from an employee, when your review is complete, I don't think you can see it yet. So, but let's just go see. You will click on performance reviews. You will see that your review is still in an active state here. So we will come back to this eventually, but eventually you will change it to complete where you will be able to see the final document. Move this on. See, we've had some good questions. So. Okay, so basically the final step in the process is for your supervisor to simply come in and look at final comments. Again, this was done because a lot of times they don't know or haven't seen the final comments. So they don't have to worry about anything else in here because nothing can be changed. They can simply click on the next step tab, scroll down to the bottom. Your comments are locked out, so they cannot make any changes to them. They can add an additional comment to their own if they want to at that point in time. And if not, they are simply going to move the evaluation into the evaluation complete state. So supervisors will have the ability to access your reviews at any point in time, as well as you. Just to make sure that it's finished. So the final step for you as an employee is that if any time you want to come back in and see your review, you will simply now, oops, let's go to the top, click on About Me, go to Performance Review. You will notice that there is no review item here now. You will click on I want to see completed reviews and click on Search. Now you will notice that this individual has 2 and you will click on View Report. So this will give you the final report. You'll see that it is in the evaluation complete state and you will have the ability to see all of the comments, see all of the supervisor ratings. And at the very bottom, there will be your overall rating plus the appendix journal item that you added. So that is what your ultimate document will look like when it is all said and done.